Well, today I'm wearing purple just for the occasion. The royal family in the United Kingdom has been around for generations. And although the figurehead of the Commonwealth, the Queen only really holds a ceremonial position. However, the power that she once held still exists, which allows her to do things that you and I could never do because she's not above the law, she technically is the law. Here are 10 illegal things the Queen can do that you can't. Number 10 is skip taxes. It's said that the only two things that you can be sure of in life are death and taxes, but that's not true for the Queen. To be clear, no, not the death part. She's not gonna live forever, but the head of the royal family doesn't actually have to pay taxes. Her Majesty is said to be worth $420 million, and she could hang on to more of that than the average corporation owner, as while the law demands all British citizens have to pay their share, the Queen is legally exempt. Ballin'! However, in 1992, the royal family began voluntarily paying an amount equal to what they'd be paying as citizens at their income and tax bracket. Since then, the Crown does pay for all of the properties under their name and discloses their spending reports to the public. Number 9 is have a pet dolphin. Now this might sound super random as few would want the responsibility, but if you live in the United Kingdom and want to have a pet dolphin, the law actually forbids it. And that's because technically, the Queen owns every dolphin that swims in waters within 5 kilometers of the country's landmass. Come to me, my dolphin children. The law goes all the way back to 1324, during the reign of King Edward II, who declared all sturgeons, porpoises, whales, and dolphins which are captured or happen to wash ashore within the area be recognized as fishes royal and are property of the Crown. According to a 2012 article by Time magazine, if someone wanted to, let's say, buy a sturgeon, they would request the honor of being accepted by Elizabeth as a gesture of loyalty and respect. Yo, Queenie, what's up? Can I have one of them dolphins? Nah? Aight. Number 8 is eat swan. Who would want to do that? Swans have been kind of taboo food for hundreds of years, but that hasn't stopped many from partaking in the majestic birds as some kind of delicacy. However, if they tried to partake in Britain, they would not only be breaking the law, they would be slighting the Queen. You eat my swans, I eat you! Like the whales and dolphins, Elizabeth owns all of the swans that are in open water within her borders. According to the royal family's official website, she only exercises that ownership when it comes to particular parts of the River Thames and the areas around it, but killing a swan for eating or otherwise will still get you arrested. Every year, 6 skiffs containing swan uppers, which are people in special uniforms, set off down the Thames. They capture each swan, ring them, and release them. There's even a swan warden. Super serious stuff. Number 7 is speeding. Held my crown, I'm about to kick this biatch into high gear. Don't worry if you're running a little late for your next meeting, it's not a problem. You're allowed to drive as fast as you want, so you'll be able to get there in a flash. If you're the Queen, of course. That's right, the sovereign is allowed to drive as fast as she likes, provided that there's no traffic, of course. According to the law, Queen Elizabeth is allowed to travel at any speed she wishes, anywhere under her rule, be it the hills of Scotland or downtown London, England. Which is actually pretty alarming if you think about it. Luckily for other drivers and bystanders, on the streets of the United Kingdom, the Queen doesn't break any of these speed limits, which is kind of disappointing. I don't know about you, but I'd love to see a Fast and the Furious chase with Her Majesty behind the wheel. Let's kick it! Number 6 is avoid freedom of information. In almost every democratic country, a law is in place that says that the public and media may ask questions of public figures, so long as those questions are appropriate and don't invade personal privacy. The United Kingdom has such a law called the Freedom of Information Act, and no citizen is exempt from it, except those in the royal family. Queen Elizabeth has made her family exempt from any probes into their lives in an attempt to keep them out of scandals scandals and bad press. Nobody wants a bad headline about them, but the sovereign and her kin are the only ones able to refuse to explain themselves for decisions that they've made that are not the public's concern or a tabloid photo that someone demands a quote for. They can still release a statement through the royal office, but they don't have to. Hey yo, Queenie, what did you mean that my face looks like a pair of bollocks? You don't have to explain. Okay, well, yeah. Number 5 is not have a license or passport. If you got pulled over while driving and didn't have a driver's license or tried to fly to an international destination without a passport, you'd likely get in a lot of trouble. Such legal documents or identifications are actually issued in the Queen's name, and she clearly doesn't need to issue herself such things. She doesn't even need a proper license plate or numbers of any kind on her vehicles, as they too are issued by the Crown's authority. And this of course has not stopped the Queen from driving. She learned how to operate a vehicle during World War II when she was operating a first aid truck for the Women's Auxiliary Territorial Service. But these days she just sticks to driving around the castle grounds and hasn't been on the actual streets of the United Kingdom for many years. Although she totally should, because how awesome would that be if you were just driving down the highway and the Queen's like, hello, want to race? Number 4 is skip lawsuits. If you're upset with something that the Crown was responsible for and want resolution, it may be best to simply let it go, because the Queen's not going to respond to a summons, let alone actually show up in a courtroom. It's actually legally impossible to sue Her Majesty for any reason, as she's protected under sovereign immunity. This is also known as Crown immunity, which states she's immune from civil prosecution. She doesn't even have to provide evidence for a case that has nothing to do with her if she doesn't want to, although she's free to testify if she waives that right. Elizabeth doesn't need to worry about lawsuits from other countries, as she's protected from their jurisdiction through international law. Believe it or not, you can even get in legal trouble yourself just for trying to sue the Queen. I didn't like what you did, Queen, I'm gonna sue you. No. Okay. Number 3 is taking children. It's probably hard to picture the Queen of England kidnapping a baby, stealing it away from his or her biological family, but if she wanted to, she could. The sovereign is the rightful protector of all children and has guardianship over any baby or child with certain medical or mental disorders who is a citizen of the United Kingdom. This antiquated and rather obsolete law says that she could have a child taken right out of their parents' arms with no repercussions. Of course, luckily for the parents of the United Kingdom, Queen Elizabeth has never and likely will never act on these powers, regardless of the guardianship she's permitted to exercise. Still, in some cases, she'd make a much better parent, and what kid wouldn't want a life in a castle with servants? It'd be like Beauty and the Beast with talking candle holders and everything. Be our guest, be our guest. Number 2 is break and enter. In addition to entering and leaving her many homes, the Queen also has the right to enter anyone else's home in the United Kingdom. Could you imagine being about to sit down for a nice dinner when some lady peers in your window, looks at the food, and says, "I would like a taste of that, I'm coming in." It sounds ridiculous, and rightfully so, but technically the sovereign can only exercise these powers in certain circumstances, usually in the event of a national emergency, including her own well-being or the family's safety being in jeopardy. And the Crown also has the right to vandalize property under similar conditions. So the next time you see a 90-something-year-old woman in a fur coat and crown kick your door down and spray paint her gang colors in your china cabinet, it's probably a national emergency, so just let her do what she's gotta do. And number 1 is prosecution for murder and other crimes. Though there are a ton of specific laws that the Queen is exempt from, at the end of the day, she's actually, in a way, exempt from almost all of them. That's because the sovereign cannot be prosecuted on British soil. For example, let's say Queen Elizabeth decided that she was going to let out a bit of her serial killer side and took a few lives in a back alley somewhere. Under United Kingdom law, the head of the state cannot be brought up on charges, as those charges are laid in her own own name. Technically speaking, the crown is incapable of thinking or doing anything wrong, and whatever decisions are made by the sovereign are correct. Oh yes, I fought it on you, but I needed to. It was my decision, it was correct. The crown attorney is literally the attorney for the crown, and you can't prosecute yourself. Of course, if Her Majesty did start up a murder spree, it wouldn't be long before her people revolted. Or they would just be amazed that at her age she's able to do that, because she's kind of frail. She can't be going around like a ninja, shanking people. So that was 10 illegal things the Queen can do that you can't. And as always, if you enjoyed this, remember to give it a big thumbs up. I very much do appreciate it. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications by clicking the bell beside the subscribe button so that you don't miss a thing, because I release new videos all the time. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you. Bye.